Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our Srimad Bhagavatam overview class. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. We are discussing from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and last time we discussed how Narad Muni, he wanted to see how Supreme Lord is living in so many palaces, 16,000 palaces with all his queens, and he went during evening, and with the speed of the mind he was traveling. But Krishna, he wanted to reciprocate with Narad Muni, so within that one moment he displayed throughout what he was doing throughout the day. In so many palaces he was experiencing different times of the day, morning to evening. He saw morning to night, from Brahma Muhurat to night. He saw everything. And then Shukdev Goswami describes the daily activities of Krishna, what he would do every day from morning. Brahma Muhurat, he would meditate on himself, and then doing his morning duties, giving charity to Brahmanas and taking care of all the duties. He would go to the Sudharma assembly palace. And then Shukdev Goswami tells that one day, as Krishna was there in the assembly, an unknown person came and he made a request. This person was sent by the kings who were imprisoned by Jarasandha. And at the same time, Narad Muni also came with a proposal from Yudhishthir Maharaj, who wanted to do a Rajasuya Yajna. So Krishna, he consulted Uddhava how to fulfill these two requests. So that's what we discussed. So now in the 71st chapter, which is entitled Lord Travels to Indraprastha. So when Krishna, he asked Uddhava, so Uddhava, he understood the opinion of the assembly and he understood the opinion of Krishna, because Uddhava is very, very intelligent. He is described as Mahamati. Vrishninam pravaro mantri Krishnasya daita sakha shishyo brihaspate sakshat Uddhavo buddhisattamaha. So it is described that Uddhava, he was the best of the ministers. Vrishninam pravaro mantri Krishnasya daita sakha, very dear friend of Krishna. And he was not an ordinary person. He was a disciple of Brihaspati himself. Shishyo Brihaspati Sakshat Uddhavo Buddhisattama. He was very, very intelligent. So Uddhava, he could satisfy everybody by keeping their wishes intact. So therefore, understanding the mind of Krishna, understanding the mind of all the other family assembly members, he started speaking. He said, Oh my lord, you should help your cousin by helping him performing Rajasuya Yagya, and also you should protect those kings. Yashtavyam Rajasuyena Dikchakra Jaina Vibho Ato Jara Sutajaya Ubhayartho Mato Mama. So then Uddhava said, oh my lord, only one who has conquered all the directions can perform Rajasuya Yagya. So therefore, there is only one obstacle in performing this Rajasuya Yagya. That is Jarasandha. So he says, in my opinion, conquering Jarasandha will solve the problems of both these parties. Both the purposes will be solved if you conquer Jarasandha. So Rupa Goswami, he describes when one of the 64 qualities of Krishna is he is Chatur. He is very clever. So Krishna, he was qualified. He had all the intelligence to find out the solution himself. He's expert in doing multitasking. He can perform various types of work at the same time. But he wanted to give credit to Uddhava. That's how Krishna is. Krishna always likes to glorify his devotees. Right in the beginning of the first canto, when Yudhishthir Maharaj, he was bewildered after whole Kurukshetra war. It's described Krishnena Adbhut Karmana. So Krishna, he staying as Paramatma in the heart of Yudhishthir Maharaj, didn't allow Yudhishthir Maharaj to hear his own words. Why? Because he wanted to glorify Bhishma Dev. So Krishna always wants to glorify his devotees. Through whole Kurukshetra war, he wanted to glorify Arjuna and Pandavas. Here he wanted to glorify Uddhava for giving such a wonderful suggestion, although he can do everything on his own. So Uddhava tells that by this decision, Yudhishthir Maharaj will be benefited, the kings will be benefited, and we will also get benefited, because Jarasandha is always a greatest enemy for all the Yadus. He had already attacked 17 times. So therefore, it says that only Bhima is equal to Jarasandha in strength. Others will not be able to defeat him. And I am telling this by all the astrological calculations which I have learned from Brihaspati. So he was very expert in that also. So he says Jarasandha, he'll be defeated only in single combat, Dvandva Yuddha. It should not be fought with the army, because Bhima is just equal to Jarasandha in strength. So if Jarasandha comes with his army, Bhima will not be able to do anything. So Krishna may say, but he will engage his troops in fighting. How to avoid that? He says you have to you have to request for a single combat, and he never refuses the request of Brahmanas. So therefore, what you should do, you should disguise yourself as Brahmanas and ask for the charity of dual fight. So Bhima should go as in disguise of a Brahmana, and he should ask for a dual fight, Dvandva Yuddha. So Krishna may say, but what should I do if he wins? If Jarasandha wins, then what will I do? Uddhava tells, no. Till the time you are present, he will not win. He can never win. Because if you are present, even if a person who is very low in caliber, he will win the battle. So therefore, what is the problem if you are there? But so Krishna may say, but if I am not doing anything, why should I go? Why should I be there if I am not doing anything? I have to just be the witness. So Uddhava says, oh Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, they are instruments in your hands. With them, you are doing the creation and maintenance and destruction. They are just instruments. Actually, you are doing everything. So Bhima is also an instrument in your hand. So if you are there, then only he will win. Otherwise, he cannot win. You know. So therefore, please be there. And if you act in this way, then you will glorify Bhima also. Gayanti te vishad karma griheshu devyo राज्ञां स्वशत्रुवधम् आत्मविमोक्षणं च गोप्यश्च कुञ्जरपते जनकात्मजाया पित्रोशलब्धशरणामुनयो वयं च. Uddhava is speaking a beautiful verse. Is telling, the wives of those imprisoned kings, every day they are singing your glories while doing their household activities. Gayanti te vishad karma griheshu devyo. All the devis, all the wives of these imprisoned kings, they are singing your glories. What they are telling? That while maintaining their sons, they tell, oh my child, please don't worry. Krishna will kill the enemy of your father and your father will be back safely. The gopis also were singing your glories. Gopyascha. They were also singing Kunjarpate, Are Gajendra. He was also singing the glories. He also got liberated. Janakatma Jaya. And you delivered Mother Sita also. You fought a whole war. Pitro Shalabda Sharana Munayo Vayamcha. And you delivered your parents also from the hands of Kamsa. So therefore, all the sages also glorify and we are also glorifying you. So you can definitely help these kings. So therefore, Chakravarti Thakur writes that why Uddhava is telling the names of Gopyo, why he is telling gopis also sing your glories, because he is telling just as the wives of these kings, they are remembering you, singing your glories. So after you kill Jarasandh, you should secretly go to Braja and pacify the gopis by giving them your company. And that's how Krishna also does in due course of time. So Uddhava tells that Jarasandha will be killed because of his own sins, and that will be greatly beneficial for everybody. And because of that, Yudhishthir Maharaj will be able to do his sacrifice, Rajasuya. So hearing all this statement, then Narad Muni was there, Krishna was there, and all the Yadus, elder Yadus, they were there, and they accepted, they liked the proposal of Uddhava. Krishna Chakravarti Thakur says that younger members they did not like. Aniruddha and all the others, they wanted to fight with Jarasandha. So they were not so happy with this proposal. But all the elder members, they approved of this proposal. So then Krishna, he took permission from all the elders and he started his journey to Indraprastha. And he arranged, it was a huge procession. He didn't go alone because the wives of Krishna, they also wanted to attend this Rajasuya Yajna. So they all went with Krishna. And he went with all his wives, children, all the arrangements were made, all the baggage was packed, and Sankarshan, Lord Balram was there in the Dwarka, taking care of the kingdom that time. Ugrasena was there. So huge arrangements were made, and it was a procession of Supreme Lords. So it was not an ordinary procession. The procession was full of all the various instruments and the singers, all the people who are playing various types of instruments. It was a festival. Anything Krishna does is a festival. Even going from one place to another is a wonderful, joyous occasion. For many of us, traveling is not so pleasurable experience. But for Krishna, whatever it is, he is Rasraj. So he is always enjoying whatever he is doing. So in his procession, there were mridangas, drums and bheris and all the gomukha and all the various conches. and they were playing very nicely. All the people, all these, folk people, they were playing these instruments, and the sound was filling the entire sky. In this way, Krishna, he set out on the journey. He didn't go alone with his wives only. Entire army was there. All the chief of the officers. He was being surrounded by the chariots and the elephant and the cavalry. It was a very, very, wonderful occasion to see Krishna traveling with all the associates. All the queens, they were traveling, and they were being carried in palanquins. And Chakravarti Thakur writes, they were being carried on the horse-driven carts. And surrounding all the queens were very, very powerful soldiers dressed in armors and clubs and swords, and they were also very nicely dressed, the soldiers. The queens were, of course, dressed in nice clothing and garments and jewelry. It was a wonderful occasion. If queens are going, they will not go alone. So they will have to go with their attendants. So thousands of maid servants were going along with them, and they were also dressed very nicely, opulently, with all the jewelries and the garments. They were also being carried on palanquins, and those palanquins, and some were traveling on the carts driven by horses, camels, bulls, buffalo, mules, donkeys, and all that. It is described in great detail. So now the journey is not going to be a very short journey. So they will need on the way lots of things. So the procession was full of various carts of food, tents, clothing, blanket, and all the other paraphernalia. Then the Lord's army was also there. So Lord's army was a royal army, carrying all the umbrellas and fans and festoons and all the instruments, all the weapons they were carrying, and it was such a noise because all the soldiers, they were carrying their weapons. So it was a noisy, atmosphere. It was as if, as the soldiers, they were moving, they were like ocean, and it was looking like the ocean filled with timingala fishes, very, very powerful fishes. So after Krishna made all these arrangements, Narad Muni, he bowed down and he departed. He through the airways he went. And then Krishna, he told all that messenger, said, you don't worry. You tell the kings, I shall arrange for the killing of Jarasandha. They should not be fearful. So this messenger, he went back and he relayed the message. And all the kings, they were so very happy, and they were expectantly waiting for Krishna to return, to come and release and liberate them. So Krishna, he traveled through various provinces, Anartha, Sauvira, Marudesh. Marudesh is, Prabhupada writes, Rajasthan. It is all desert. And because from Gujarat to Delhi, of course, he has to travel through Marudesh also. So in between, he crossed many rivers, mountains, cities, jungles. 2 rivers are mentioned, Drishtadwati and Saraswati. And then passing through Panchal and Matsya, he ultimately came to Indraprastha. So when Lord entered Indraprastha, Yudhishthira Maharaj was delighted. For Pandavas, Krishna was their life and soul. First canto describes in great detail when Krishna was leaving, what was the condition of Pandavas. Everybody was crying. They were in intense separation. Kunti Maharani was telling, oh, now you are going. How we will maintain our prosperity? Our prosperity was there only because you were there. So when Yudhishthira Maharaj, he heard that Lord has come, he for him it was as if the life has come back to the senses. The senses came back, they were enlivened by the consciousness, by the return of the life airs. So personally, he came out of the city to greet the Lord and welcome the Lord. So he came out of the Indraprastha and he welcomed Lord Rishikesha. So Lord is mentioned as Rishikesha. Rishikesh means the controller of the senses. So just like the senses, they go to meet the consciousness. For Yudhishthir Maharaj, Krishna was their life and soul. Without consciousness, the senses are dead. Without Krishna, Pandavas are, dead. They have no enthusiasm. That's why in the first canto, 14th chapter, when Krishna left, we hear so many of the various emotions of Yudhishthir Maharaj. Whole chapter is full of the thoughts. What must have happened? And Arjuna is remembering Tadvai dhanustai shava rasho rato hayaste soham rathi nipatayas tada namanti sarvam shanena tadabhuda sadishariktam bhasmam hutam kuhakaradhamivoptamushyam. He's telling, oh, now because Krishna has left, I have become useless. I have no strength. This is the same Gandiva, this is the same chariot warrior, same driver, but I could not protect the wives of Krishna. It was as if when somebody is putting some offerings on the ash, it was as if seeds are sown on the barren land. So for Pandavas, Krishna was their everything. That's why when Krishna departed, they also left. They also retired and went back to the spiritual world. So although pure devotees like Yudhishthir Maharaj, they were never separated from Krishna. They were always with Krishna, with their mind, with their thoughts, with their consciousness. But when they could get to see Krishna personally, it was a joyous occasion. So Yudhishthir Maharaj came out, welcomed. He was melting with affection and he embraced the Lord. And it is described, Shukadeva Goswami says that Yudhishthir Maharaj, just by embrace of Krishna, he became free of all the material contamination. Although there was no contamination. Only contamination which was experiencing was separation from Krishna. So he got relieved of that contamination. And he merged in the ocean of happiness. And he experienced as if he is not living in this material world. That is how Krishna consciousness is. Even though problems may be there, but if somebody is experiencing Krishna, for him the pains of the material world will not give trouble. That is how it is. Tapat trayon mulanam, as Bhagavatam begins. Tapat trayon mulanam. One becomes free from all the threefold miseries because for him he is experiencing such high pleasure that all these miseries, they are insignificant. Bhima also, he came, his eyes were full of tears of joy and affection. He also embraced Krishna. Arjuna came and he also wanted to, because although he is equal, his friend, he wanted to touch Krishna's feet. But even before Arjuna would bow down and touch, Krishna embraced him. He held Arjuna and embraced. Nakula came and Sahadev came, and because they were younger, so they bowed down and very tightly they grasped the feet of Krishna. And everybody was crying tears of ecstasy. Everybody was joyful. It was a wonderful atmosphere. And then after Krishna entered, he was welcomed by the Pandavas, all the Sutas, Magadas, Bandis. These are the professional reciters who glorify the kings. They all came with, and the Gandharvas came with their instruments. They all started singing the glories of the Lord. And it was a wonderful occasion. So Lord, as he was being glorified, he entered the Indraprastha. And Indraprastha now, because Lord is coming to Indraprastha, entire Indraprastha was decorated. Entire city was decorated. The roads were sprinkled with perfumed water. Elephants in their trunks, they would sprinkle water. They were sprinkling all over the place. And entire city was decorated with flags and festoons and wonderful, there was wonderful fragrance everywhere. In every home, a guru was burning, and the scent was drifting out of the latticed windows, making the entire place very, very fragrant. And because Krishna is coming, all the men and the women, they were also very joyful, happy. They also decorated themselves in nice jewelry and the garments, and they also applied wonderful aromatic sandalwood paste on their face and forehead, and they all came to have darshan of the Lord. The young ladies of Indraprastha, they came to know, oh, Krishna is coming. Whatever they were doing, they left everything and they came. प्राप्तं निशम्य नरलोचनपानपात्रम् औत्सुक्य विश्वसितकेशदुकूलबन्धाः सद्यो विसृज्य गृहकर्मपतिं च तल्पे द्रष्टुं ययुयुवतयोः स्म नरेन्द्रमार्गे. It is described, Shukdev Goswami is describing the situation of the ladies of Indraprastha. Praptam Nishamya, when these ladies, young women, they heard about Krishna. Oh, Krishna has entered, Krishna has come. Nara Lochana Pan Patram. Krishna's beauty is the drinking vessel for those who want to see something beautiful. Shriyo Nivaso Yasyo Rupana Patram Mukham Drisham. Bahavo Lokapalanam Saranganam Padambujam. The face of Krishna is a drinking vessel for beauty. And the hands of Krishna, they are the storehouse of power. And the feet of Krishna, they are the shelter of the devotees. So Krishna is coming. So all the ladies, Autsukya, they were so very eager to have darshan of Krishna. Vishlatita Kesha Banda, whatever they were doing, they immediately left everything. Whatever they were doing, in the middle of that, they left. Their hair were not properly combed. They were wearing garments. They were still loose. Left everything. Sadhyo Visrajya Giha Karma Patim Cha Talpe. Whatever household activities they were doing, they left everything. Even they were taking care of the husband, some of them. They left. Drashtum Yuvas Yayur Yuvatayo. Drashtu. They wanted to see Krishna. So immediately they went on the road. Generally the ladies, they don't go to the public areas. They don't mix with the general public. But out of their intense eagerness, they could not contain themselves. Ran to the roads. It is described about the Dwarka Vasis also, Dwarka ladies also. When they also heard, oh, Krishna is coming. Rajamarge gate Krishne Dwarkayam Kulastriyah Harmyani Yaruruhur Viprata Dikshana Mahotsavaha. Krishna is entering Dwarka. Rajmarge gate, on the highways, Krishna is walking. All the ladies of Dwarka, they climbed on the rooftops to have darshan of Krishna, because darshan of Krishna is the eternal festival for the eyes. Nityotsavam natatripo drishabhi pibantyo naryo narashamudita kupita nimesha. Nitya Utsava. Seeing Krishna is the eternal festival for the eyes. Not tatripur. Nobody can be satisfied seeing Krishna. And all the ladies and the men, they were cursing their eyelids. They were becoming angry on the Creator. Why you have made these eyelids? They are blinking and we are not able to see Krishna. That's how gopis were also criticizing Krishna, Brahmaji. So when the ladies, they came down, they saw the royal roads are already full, already crowded. इतने सारे लोग आ गए हैं कृष्ण को दर्शन करने के लिए. They were not getting a chance to see Krishna. So what to do? Because Krishna was coming. Krishna had come with the chariots and the horses, and the soldiers were there, and entire entourage was there. So these ladies, they were not getting place to see Krishna and their queens. So they went to the rooftops now. They climbed to the rooftops to see Krishna and their queens. And these ladies, they started showering flowers on Krishna and the queens. And Krishna, he also reciprocated with them by smiling at them. So these ladies of Indraprastha, they started telling, Arey, what austerities these ladies must have done that they are getting a chance to have darshan of Krishna, and they are with Krishna, and Krishna is glancing on them and smiling at them, and he's there with them always. So they are showing envy. When Krishna entered Mathura also first time, the Mathura ladies also were telling the same thing. Gopya tapah kimacharam yadamushya rupam lavanya sarama samordhvamananya siddham drikpi pibantyanu bhinavam durapam ekant dham yashasha shriya aishwarasya. अरे what austerity and tapasya, कौन कितना तपस्या, क्या तपस्या किया इन्होंने, तपः किमचरम, that they were getting a chance to have darshan of Krishna, who is the embodiment of beauty, sweetness. Nobody is equal to him. So all these ladies, Indraprastha ladies, they are also telling, So Krishna was moving along with the queens. It was looking like moon along with the stars. And all the citizens, they also came forward, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishyas, and all the other varieties of citizens, they came with whatever offerings they could get. Just like when Krishna entered Dwarka also, all the citizens, they came. Raver Deepam Ivadrita, it was described there. It was as if you are showing lamp to the sun. Krishna has everything, but Krishna accepts the love. So all the citizens, they brought various gifts. Krishna accepted, and then Krishna entered the royal palace. And when Krishna entered the palace, Queen Kunti, when she came to know, immediately she got up from her bed and she embraced the Lord and she started crying tears of joy. And Yudhishthir Maharaj, he very respectfully brought Govinda in his personal quarters and he made him sit on his personal throne. And he was so very happy that he forgot pehle kya karna hai, baad mein kya karna hai, he forgot out of jubilation the exact sequence of welcoming, what to offer first. And then Draupadi came, she also bowed down. Subhadra came, his sister, she also offered his obeisances. Then Draupadi, she started worshipping all the queens of Krishna, headed by Rukmini and Satyabhama, Jambavati. All the queens had come. So Draupadi, she welcomed all the queens and honored them with all the wonderful gifts. Then Yudhishthira Maharaj, he arranged for the accommodation of Krishna and all the associates, all the queens. And Yudhishthira, he was so very absorbed in Krishna's reception that he was thinking of newer and newer ways of giving an experience, new experience to Krishna every day. Nitya Navanamayaman Krishna is, so Krishna should be given a new experience every day, new reception every day, new type. So he was thinking what to do next, what to do tomorrow. So that was the love of Yudhishthira Maharaj. In this way, Lord stayed in Indraprastha for several months. And during his stay, as we had heard the story about Krishna marrying Kalindi, and before that, he, along with Arjuna, he helped Agni Dev to destroy this Khandava forest, and then in that they saved Mayadanav. Then as a gratitude, Mayadanav built a beautiful assembly. So all that happened when Krishna was there, and Krishna would roam around with Arjuna during these times. So that is the end of this chapter, 72nd chapter, the slaying of demon Jarasandha. So now Krishna was spending time with Yudhishthir Maharaj and all the Pandavas. So one day Yudhishthir Maharaj, he made a request to Krishna. He was sitting in the assembly, all the sages, all the members of the society, Brahmanas were there, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and all the relatives were there in front of everybody. Yudhishthir Maharaj made a request. He said, "O Govinda, O Supreme Lord, I desire to perform Rajasuya Yajna. This Rajasuya Yajna, and I want to worship all the opulent expansions of yours. And so please make my endeavor successful." So Srila Prabhupada in Krishna books write in detail what is actually Yudhishthir Maharaj telling, and Chakravarti Thakur gives lots of insights. So Yudhishthir Maharaj is telling Krishna, "Oh Krishna, actually this Rajasuya is called as king of all sacrifices. And in this sacrifice, all the devatas, Brahma, Shiva, everybody comes. So I wish to satisfy all of them, and therefore please help me in this great endeavor." And then actually he tells, actually we are, as far as we are concerned, we don't have anything to ask from these devatas. We are satisfied serving you, O my Lord. We don't need any material benedictions from them. Our purpose of performing this Rajasuya Yajna is different. What is your purpose? He says, I want to perform this Rajasuya Yajna. I want to invite all the devatas, and then when they'll come, they will have to choose the person for Agra Puja. So I want to prove to the whole world that you are the Supreme Lord, because I see sometimes they try to find faults with you. Sometimes even devatas criticize you. Indra is fighting with you. They are all your servants and they should serve you and they should offer all respects to you. But when we see that they are criticizing you, sometimes it pains our heart. So therefore, I want to prove to the whole universe that you are the Supreme Personality. Tvatpaduke aviratam pariye charanti dhyayantyadabrapanashane shuchayo grananti vindanti te kamalanabhash vindanti te kamalanabhapavargam ashashate yadisha yadashisha isha manye. He's telling, Tvat paduke aviratam, O my Lord, those who are purified, Shuchaya, they are constantly serving you, meditating on you, glorifying your lotus feet. Tvat paduke aviratam, constantly they are glorifying. Vindanti te kamalanab, and they are glorifying you, and only your lotus feet can give freedom from this material existence. Bhava pavargam. So therefore, even if somebody desires something in this world, and if they are worshipping you, they will obtain. But those who do not take shelter of you, they will not obtain. So therefore, one can achieve the highest perfection only by taking shelter of your lotus feet, O my Lord. So Yudhishthira Maharaj is saying, personally, I feel no great urgency in performing this Rajasuya sacrifice. It is not that I am so very eager to perform. We don't have any personal interest, because we are getting the chance to have your darshan of your lotus feet every day. So we are not interested in anything material. But why we want to do? Because when I see other kings and even devatas finding fault with you, criticizing you, and hating you, it is like arrow piercing our hearts. We cannot tolerate that. So therefore, to extract this arrow from our hearts, I want to perform this sacrifice, and in that sacrifice, I will call all the devatas, Brahma, Lord Shiva, and all the great Brahmanas and sages of the entire universe. I will call them, and then they will choose you as the personality for Agra Puja, and then this arrow will be removed from our heart. That's how, the devotee always likes to glorify his Lord. Lord wants to glorify his devotees. Devotee wants to glorify his Lord. Lord is there in the heart of devotees, and devotee is there in the heart of the Lord. Sadhavo hridayam mahyam sadhunam hridayam tu. Lord may tell, if you already know my glories, then why don't you practice bhakti and be satisfied with that? Why do you want to do all this rajasuya sacrifice? He says, oh my Lord, I am not thinking about myself. Let the people of the world also know that you are the Supreme Lord. We know, but the entire world should also know. This is the heart of a preacher. A preacher is not just satisfied because, oh, I know, we know, we are, Lord is Supreme Lord is Krishna, and he is the Akhil Koti Brahmanda Nayak. No, he's not satisfied with that. He wants to give this message, share this message with everybody. That is the greatest satisfaction for a preacher. So Lord may say that, but will I not display malice if I show some favor to somebody who are favorable to me? I am, showing some mercy to them and not showing mercy to others. Because, Krishna told that, Yudhishthira Maharaj told that you show mercy to those who worship you, and those who do not worship you, do not show mercy to them. So Lord may tell, Lord, am I partial? I am showing mercy to some and not to others. Yudhishthira says, no, you are impartial. You are equal to everybody. You are like a desire tree. Whoever comes to ask anything, you don't show any hatred towards anybody. You are like a desire tree. But you reciprocate according to the desire of a person. Ye yatha mam prapadyante. And although you are equal to everybody, still you have special affection for your devotees. So therefore, Prabhupada writes in Krishna book that whoever takes to Krishna consciousness, he will be benefited materially also, spiritually also. Whatever we need, Krishna will give us. So when Lord, he heard this request from Yudhishthira Maharaj, he said, oh Yudhishthira Maharaj, your decision is perfect. And by this, your fame will spread all over the world. So Lord, he addresses Yudhishthira Maharaj as Shatru Karshana. Shatru Karshana means the killer of the enemies. O Shatru Bhavata, Shatru Karshana. O killer of the enemies, your decision is perfect. So actually, by this, he is blessing Yudhishthira Maharaj to be with the power to destroy all the enemies. So he's telling, Krishna is telling that this sacrifice is desirable by everybody, by devatas, by the greatest of the sages, by the pitris. Everybody will get benefited by this sacrifice, because actually it is said that, one time Narad Muni came and he told to Yudhishthira Maharaj one more reason for Yudhishthira Maharaj to perform this sacrifice. That Narad Muni came and he said, when he entered this assembly hall, Sudharma, made by Maidana, he was telling, I am coming from all over I'm traveling all over the universe, and I went to so many of the greatest of the assembly halls, but this is one of the best I have seen. I went to the assembly of Indra, assembly of Yamraj, where I saw your father. So Yudhishthira said, hey, wait, please tell me about my father. What he was doing? Is he happy there? So then Narad Muni tells, actually, he is happy, but he has made a request that if you do Rajasuya sacrifice, then he may be promoted to heavenly planets. Now he is staying in Pitri Loka. And if you do a Rajasuya sacrifice, he'll be promoted to heavenly planets, and he will be able to stay there for a long time. So that was one of the reasons Yudhishthira Maharaj wanted to perform this sacrifice also. So Krishna told, okay, first you conquer all the kings, and then you bring all the wealth, and then you perform this sacrifice. And in this act, in this endeavor, your brothers will help you. They are not ordinary people. They are the representatives and incarnations of the devatas. They will conquer all, they will go and conquer all over the world, and they'll come back. And oh Yudhishthir Maharaj, you are so self-controlled that by your devotion, by your love, you have actually conquered me. I am not conquered by anybody who has not controlled his senses. Very important, instruction. Krishna is telling anybody who has not controlled his senses, they cannot, develop and practice devotional service. As Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, that those who are not free from sinful activities, they cannot practice bhakti with determination. Yesham tuantagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam didhavrataha. Those who are not free from sinful activities, they cannot practice bhakti with determination. Those who are not self-controlled, sense-controlled, they cannot please the Lord. They cannot develop a relationship with the Lord. So therefore, Prabhupada writes that all the Pandavas, they were so very devoted to the Lord that they controlled the Lord by their love. Whatever the Pandavas were telling, Krishna was doing. Saratya parashad sevana sakhya dautya veera sananugamana stavana pranaman snigdeshu pandushu jagat pranatim cha Vishnu bhaktim karoti nipatis charanarvinde. Krishna was acting as a chariot driver, as a messenger, as a servant, as a constant companion. He was there everything. Why? Snigdeshu pandushu jagat pranatim cha Vishnu. Pandavas were malleable to the will of the Lord. Bhaktim karoti nipatis charanarvinde, and Yudhishthir Maharaj and all the Pandavas, they were completely devoted. So Krishna was doing everything for them. Prabhupada writes in Krishna book, one who has not conquered the senses cannot conquer the Supreme Lord. That is the secret of devotional service. And then Krishna tells, na kaschin matparam loke tejasa yashasha shriya vibhuti bhirvabhita bhevad devopi kimuparthivaha. This is, nobody can defeat my devotee with their wealth, with their strength, with their beauty, fame, riches. Nobody can defeat, even if he is a devata. What to speak of ordinary human being? Nobody can defeat my devotee. He's unconquerable, So he's telling you should not fear defeat by others. I am telling with this great confidence, my devotee can never be defeated by anybody. What to speak of you? So he is using Kaimutika Nai. What to speak of you? Even if a person who is inclined to me, although he may not have much power, if he is just inclined to me, matparaha, he will not be defeated. What to speak of you? You are such a great devotee. So that's how Krishna is glorifying Pandavas. Then after this, when Yudhishthira Maharaj heard all these instructions and wonderful statements from Krishna, he became very, very happy, joyful. And he sent all these brothers in all the directions. He sent Nakula and Sahadeva. He sent Nakula to south and Sahadeva to south, Nakula towards the eastern direction, because they were comparatively easy. So Nakula, he went to the southern direction and he made a truce with Srinjaya's. Sahadev went to southern direction. Nakula went to the western direction, and he made truce with some of the kings and defeated some of the kings. So Prabhupada writes in the purport in the Krishna book that actually these Pandavas, they were not waging war. Their purpose was to go to all the kings and present this plan. If you submit to Yudhishthir Maharaj and if you are ready to pay taxes and you accept the subordination of Yudhishthir Maharaj, then we have no problem. But if you reject, if you don't accept, then there will be a fight. And most of the kings, they accepted the proposal because they knew Yudhishthir Maharaj was such a saintly, pious, devoted king. At the same time, very, very powerful. Nobody, wanted to have enmity. Very few opposed, and the Pandavas, they very easily defeated them. Yudhishthir Maharaj, he sent Arjuna towards northern direction because it was a little difficult. There were Himalayas and mountains to cross, and powerful beings, devatas and Gandharvas were staying there. So Arjuna went there, and actually all of them, they accepted the subordination of Yudhishthir Maharaj. Bhima went to the eastern direction and he defeated all the other kings apart from Jarasandha. Although he was very powerful, but he didn't challenge Jarasandha because he was given a secret message by Krishna. Krishna told him not to fight with Jarasandha, just come back. So in this way, all the Pandavas, they gathered such immense wealth. So therefore, in the first canto, it is described, Kim te kama surasparha mukunda manaso dvija adhijaharu mudam ragya shudhitasya yathetare. He had such opulence that even devatas were envious. Jambu dvipadhipatyam cha yashascha tridivangataha. He was not just the emperor of India, of this Bharata Varsha, of this earth. He was the emperor of entire Jambu Dvipa. And those who are aware, we have discussed in our fifth canto, what is Jambu Dvipa? He was emperor of entire Jambu Dvipa. That's how powerful he was. So after defeating all the kings, everybody came back, and Krishna, Bhima and Arjun, they were planning that only Jarasandha is remaining, because Yudhishthir Maharaj heard that Jarasandha could not be defeated. And there was a plan Krishna had, so he had secretly told Bhima that you don't fight with Jarasandha. So Krishna, Bhima and Arjuna, he came and they told a plan to Yudhishthir Maharaj that we'll go to Jarasandha, because Krishna told a plan of Uddhava. Uddhava had told that, oh, you should go, Bhima should go disguised as Brahmana and ask for a dual combat. But all three of them went to Jarasandha, to his kingdom called Giri Vraja. The capital of his kingdom was Giri Vraja. So when they entered the kingdom, Jarasandha, he had a very powerful drum, which was made of a skin of a demon which he had killed. It would create a very, very loud sound, and when some enemy would come, Jarasandha would start beating that drum. Just the sound of the drum was terrifying, horrifying. Bhima came and broke that drum, and there was a mountain peak in the city. He ripped off the mountain. But because these three were dressed as Brahmanas, nobody, arrested them. The soldiers, they went and told Jarasandha that these three people have come. They are Brahmanas, looking Brahmanas, and they have done all this. So then all three of them, they went in front of Jarasandha, and he told, all the three told, O king, we are guests and we have come from far. So therefore, please grant whatever we wish. Kim durmarsham titikshunam kimakaryam asadubhi kim nadeyam vadanyanam kahpara samadarshinam. So they are telling, Kim durmarsham titikshunam. So Jarasandha, after hearing this request, oh please grant our wish. He may tell, if you beg my son, how will I bear separation from him? So they are telling, Kim durmarsham titikshuna mare, what is difficult for a person to tolerate, who is tolerant? What is difficult for him to tolerate? Then Jarasandhi may say, but if the householder refuses, then what you will do? So then they tell, Kimakarya masadubhi, are for one who is wicked, what he cannot do, he can do anything. So then Jarasandha says, but if you desire my body, how can I give you my body? So they say, Kim na deyam vadanyana, are those who are charitable, what they cannot give. The Dadichi Maharaj gave his own body. Jarasandha may say, but if you are my enemies, how can I give my enemies in something in charity? They say, Kya para samadarshina, are those who are having equal vision. They don't see outsiders and enemies. For them, everybody is equal. So in this way, they are, convincing Jarasandha. Then they tell that, but if somebody fails to give charity to the Brahmanas, he is criticized and he does not get a higher destination. Just remember the example of Harishchandra, Shibi Maharaj, and Bali Maharaj, Ranti Dev. By giving charity, they attained what is not available in this world. For Jarasandha, it was heaven because he was a materialist. So he was thinking, oh, I'll give charity to these Brahmanas, I'll get something higher enjoyment. Shukdev Goswami says that Jarasandha, just by looking at their body, and because Arjuna had some marks on his hand because of the strings of the bow, he had marks on his body, and Bhima had some wounds, marks on his body. That is the ornament of a Kshatriya. So by looking at their physique and their very powerful voices and the marks on their body, he could understand that they are looking like royal people. They are Kshatriyas, but they are dressed as Brahmanas. So he understood that they are royal, they are Kshatriyas, but because they are dressed as Brahmanas, I'll still give them charity. Even if they beg my body, I'll give. Because he remembers, oh Lord Vishnu, when he came disguised as Brahmana, Bali Maharaj, although he knew, he was told by Shukracharya, he was, informed that, oh, he's Vishnu, but still he gave. He became glorious. So therefore, I will also give. But if somebody tells, they will ask your life, they'll not ask your kingdom, they'll ask for life. So Jarasandha is thinking, okay, what is the use of this body if a Kshatriya cannot give charity? For a Kshatriya, being charitable is the greatest quality. And Jarasandha, although he was such a sinful, demoniac person, he knew the power of Brahmanas. So therefore, although he was against Krishna, he was non-devotee, he was a demon, but still he was worshipper of Brahmanas. Why? Because he knew, if I'll worship Brahmanas, I'll get powers. I'll get to do more sense gratification. So after thinking all this, Jarasandha made up his mind and he addressed all of them. He said, oh Brahmanas, choose whatever you wish. I'll give you whatever you want. So then Krishna said, O Lord, O exalted King, please give us the battle in charity. That is the only charity we want. We are princes and we have come here for fight. And then he reveals his identity. Everybody's. Over there is Bhima, son of Pritha. He is Arjuna, most powerful archer. And I am their maternal cousin, Krishna, your old enemy. So, and Jarasandha, he hears this, he starts laughing very loudly. He says, actually, just because he was laughing because he was satisfied. He was thinking, just see them. They already, why actually they are so fool, they are so weak that they have to dress, they had to come dressed as Brahmanas. Just by dressing themselves as Brahmanas, they have, their bravery is finished. So he was thinking, Are, you should have asked my head without even fight. I would have given you. Because I am just happy seeing that you are so weak that you have to dress as Brahmanas. And then he said, But if you want, if you have still some strength remaining, oh fools, I'll give you a fight. That was the ego and uh, pride of Jarasandha. And then he started thinking, But I will not fight with you, Krishna. You ran away as a coward. I will not fight with you. And this Arjuna is not so strong. But this Bhima, he is equal. He is having some strength. I'll fight with him. So then Jarasandh, he gave Bhima a very powerful mace, and they went outside the city to fight. And then Bhima and Jarasandh, they started fighting. They started striking each other with their clubs, and it was a fierce fight. The sound of the club was, so loud. Everybody was just amazed to see their power. They were striking each other's body parts with their clubs. They were striking their shoulders, hips, and then collarbones, head. They were striking each other very strongly. And it was such a sheer pressure that their clubs also got shattered. Then they started, beating each other with their fists. And in this way, they went on fighting. But the fight did not reach any conclusion. And they kept on fighting. So Prabhupada in Krishna book, he writes that actually they would fight whole day. The fight went on for 27 days. Throughout the day they would fight, and then in the evening they would stay as friends in the palace of Jarasandha. You cannot even imagine this. That was the Vedic culture. That's what Prabhupada would say. Vedic culture is like a dead elephant. That time it was so very wonderful that even though somebody is fighting whole day, wants to kill you, but still you give him all the hospitality. But even today, if all that thing is not remaining, but still people are pious. They respect the spiritual people, sadhus, still they have some respect. Still they have some belief. So Prabhupada would say Indian culture is like a dead elephant. Even if it is dead, it is precious because elephant has a ivory. So although Indians, they are practically dead spiritually, but still they can be revived back if people they take to this Krishna consciousness, if they understand the philosophy. So in this way, the fight went on for 27 days, and at the end of 28th day, Bhima, he went to Krishna and said, Oh Krishna, I cannot defeat Jarasandha. So Krishna, he knew the secret of Jarasandha's birth. So Jarasandha, when he was born, his king, his father, he had performed a yajna, and the yajna Purusha had given a fruit to be given to his wife. Jarasandha, out of his greediness, he cut that fruit into two, and he gave to two wives. And he thought, oh, I'll get two sons, but both of them, they delivered half of the baby. So Krishna, thinking that Jarasandha, his father, he thought, oh, they're of no use, so he threw them in the forest. There was a demoness named Jara. She was moving around and she saw two pieces of babies, two halves. Playfully, she joined them and the baby came back to life. So she went back and returned that baby to the king. That's why he was named as Jarasandha. So Krishna knew that he is weak in the joint. So Krishna imparted special power to Bhima. And next day, he indicated Bhima. He took a branch and he split it into two halves. And Bhima understood. And he threw Jarasandha down, you know, caught one of his leg and put his feet on the other leg, and he started ripping him apart. And the Jarasandha, he fell dead, crying, shrieking loudly. He was torn apart into two halves exactly. All the attendants and the subjects of Jarasandha, they were aghast to see this, started crying. And Krishna and Arjuna, they congratulated Bhima. And then they enthroned Jarasandha's son, Sahadev, as the king. They had not come with the purpose of conquering Jarasandha's kingdom. They wanted that the king should obey Yudhishthir Maharaj, and Sahadeva agreed for that. And that's how, after that, Krishna entered the prison house and he freed all the kings. So therefore, Krishna, Arjuna, and Bhima, they went, as somebody asked, Yashodananda Prabhu has asked question that why they went as Brahmanas, because they knew Uddhava had told that if you go as in the disguise of Brahmana, then Jarasandha will never refuse your request. Otherwise, you cannot defeat Jarasandha with his army. Bhima will not be able to defeat Jarasandha with his army. So that's how Jarasandha was killed, and all the kings, they were released. That's the end of this chapter. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki jai.